All right, I want to talk about adolescent mental health, partly destigmatizing a few things as well as empowering. But first, I'd like to go a little bit beyond the introduction and give you a little snippet, a little introduction as to who I am and why you should care at all. I'm Lambert Fisher. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I'm not a marriage and family therapist because I just grew up loving the concept of Freud and the way our minds work and things like that. I have no desire to diagnose if I don't have to, or pills and all that kind of stuff, all the things that people think about when they normally think about mental health. It started for me as a child when my parents divorced, and devastated as usually the response is, unfortunately way too common. And yet the not so common response from this little child was to commit my life to finding as many relationships, intact marriages that I could find, and modeling after them so that I could have a lasting relationship of my own. Unfortunately, I didn't find nearly as many opportunities to model as I was hoping to find. Over time, I continued to make this challenge for myself, and then I realized there's a whole career field called marriage and family therapy that could teach me how to do it for my own personal selfish reasons, but in exchange, I'd have to teach other people how to do it as well, and I said, cool, that's a good deal, sign me up. And I've been doing that for the past 20 years. And it's been great because knowing that my faith, as was talked about earlier, has been core to me. I had a great foundation from my family. I knew faith was going to be a part of what I did anyway, but instead of trying to wing it and force this faith thing into it, I went to Fuller Seminary to get a Master of Divinity so I could get that side of it, and then get a full-fledged Master of Family Therapy so I could get taught how to do it in a healthy way, so I wouldn't just be winging it. And I've got a chance to put that in place such that this is not just a career, it's my calling. This is my ministry. And that's the influential factor that I'll be bringing to you today. Is that all right? Okay. So with that, I will also acknowledge that while I'm a marriage and family therapist, I'm a marriage and family therapist. I am very much skewed toward couples. The whole point is to help strengthen couples because that is the foundation of the family. No matter whether you're single or adult or young, that's not the point. As much as the family, whatever it looks like, is where we come back to our home base, that we wrestle with things, that we need to be safe in order for us to launch into the rest of the world. So if I can help strengthen those families, then I'm complementing everything that the pastors are doing so that when they're confused, they can go home and say, Mom, Dad, what does that mean? How do I do that? This is what happened at school. How do I wrestle with that? So whatever you do, find a way to let it impact. No matter what your role is, it can still impact the ministry as a whole. Is that fair? Keeping going in that direction, although I was and still am a marriage and family therapist over time, I've gained a greater appreciation for the whole spectrum because the issues that I get asked to help people with, wrestling with irreconcilable differences and he doesn't understand me and my unmet needs and their unmet needs and we just got married, well, we're about to get married and we love each other so much we've never fought before. And I say, I can help you fix that. It's like, well, what do you mean fix that? It's like you don't know how to fight, which means that one time when you do disagree, you won't know how to disagree healthily. So I'm gonna help you fix that. And right after that, about an hour later, somebody comes in and says, hi, nice to meet you. We have an appointment to get divorced next Thursday unless you can help. And I say, God, do what you do. And it gets really interesting. But over time, I realized that those things that they were wrestling with didn't start in their relationship. Sometimes it started in a previous relationship. Sometimes it started long before they ever had any relationship. Sometimes it started in their home when they didn't learn how to express their emotions. They didn't learn how to identify their emotions, let alone express their emotions. They didn't know how to have unmet needs and still not judge whose fault that is, as opposed to how can we work together to meet those needs. And that's when I gained a great appreciation for the teens and the children that I work with to say, hey, I'm not trying to hook your kids up and try to teach them marriage skills per se, but if I can help build those foundations, how to know your feelings and to accept those feelings, how to identify them and work with them, then all of a sudden we are preparing for them to hear the message on Sunday. We're preparing for them to have a healthy relationship long term down the road because they can find someone who's hopefully been doing the same thing too. And that's when I talk to the teenagers, it's like, you need to be praying now for that person, that they're learning some things that you're learning right now so that y'all will even recognize each other when you see each other. That's not about, again, starting early in the actual steps, but preparing that foundation, which is where I bring to you today, because that mental health piece can influence everything. So let me keep on going there. Also, in this mindset, when I speak of youth, when I speak of adolescence, I do have a threefold picture that is consistent with the ministry ideas that are coming up really soon, because I view adolescence as a transition period between childhood and adulthood. Technically, that's no rocket science. It's the math. It's the period in between. But there's a responsibility piece that comes to it, because as a child, you are dependent on the adult who's taking care of you. Skip ahead forward. As an adult, you are expected to be independent. You can collaborate, you can do things, but there's a period. This adolescent period is a transition between dependence and independence, which makes it a responsibility thing. As a child, the adult is responsible for you. Anything else you do, taking responsibility for yourself is bonus. Wow, look at you, you're ahead of schedule. But they are responsible for you. As an adult, you are expected to be responsible for yourself, which brings in this adolescent piece is a transition of responsibility. Learning to gain some of it, not too quick, not too soon. I view it like learning to ride a bike. Learn to ride a bike. A child is learning to ride a bike. The parent is there with the hand on the seat, maybe a hand on the handlebar, while the kid is learning to ride a bike, learning how to stay up straight, learning how to pedal, learning how to hold the handlebars. As a child, parent is there. Skip ahead, you're expected to do it by yourself. Look, mom, no hands. I got this. And in the middle, here's the key part. There's this transition period where the parent is still there, but their hand is hovered off the seat right next to, and they're still running alongside you. Well, you get to learn how to take responsibility for yourself, but you still have the support right there just in case. Let go. I got this. Okay, but I'm still close by. So I got you. Parents, family members, make the most of the opportunity to embrace the transition period. That's when you say, I'm going to stay by, but I'm not going to hold on too tight. And then you get to 18 and what? You don't know how to do it already? Have you not been paying attention this whole time? Because they never had the opportunity to have your hand off. Kids, adolescents, because it's different. Kids and adolescents, embrace the opportunity for them to still be there. Don't push them away too soon, because I got this. It benefits you to make the most of this time. There's going to be a time when you wish they were still there to put their hand on their seat. And if you both embrace it, then there won't be one person pulling away too fast. And there won't be one person holding on too tight. If we acknowledge the transition period, then we can use it together, work together to help prepare for a long life that's a healthy and balanced life. You with me so far? Yes. Then if you go with me there, then there's various ways in which you can transition well. You can learn how to make a sandwich and then microwave it, then use the oven so you can feed yourself as an adult. You can learn how to go to school and learn those particular skills so you can have a job as an adult. You can learn how to manage your physical health. No, I'm not trying to make muscle building kids and adolescents, but you learn how your body works so that you can live a long and healthy life. And similarly, you can take the time earlier to understand your mental health, how your mind works, how your feelings work, how to express yourself so that you can do it well long term. I'm not about everything being long term. It's about embracing that life now as well as for later. But if you combine the two, and if you help them start, and if anybody youth-wise are starting now, you can get a head start. Because everybody here younger, everybody here who's older wish they would have started earlier. No, everybody's not around. Yeah. So the earlier you start, and it's never too late to start, but the earlier you start, and the earlier we can help provide safe places for them to do that, then we are contributing to the mental health. You said, I need everybody's help. And that doesn't necessarily mean the same amount of money or the same amount of time, just everybody supporting that cause, creating a safe place, encouraging people to do that, and maybe even helping out. At various ways, large or small, we can still contribute to the overall mental health. And you are planting seeds for their future marriage, their future parenting, their future ministry efforts. In any kind of way, you can plant those seeds that can be harvested for years to come. You with me? Yes. Marvelous. Excellent. So with that being said, if I jump right into the mental health piece, I want to start by destigmatizing a few things. I already said, even though I have the power to diagnose and do a handful of things, that's not really the focus, because a lot of times diagnoses and things like that get a bad rap. Mental health is not synonymous with mental illness. Nobody sees somebody going to the gym. It's like, you going to the gym? Well, you got one of those physical illnesses? No, you're going to maintain your physical health. Even if you have something that's not working the way you want to, because you're trying to figure out how your body works, you're going to help correct things, or you're trying to prevent things from happening, so you're maintaining your physical health. The same thing, we can embrace our mental health. How does my mind work? What strengths do I have? What growth areas do I have? And how can I embrace both? And if we start there, then we can help our teens know, our children know, because the transition period is both. We can help them become aware of themselves by reflecting what we see. Oh, nice job, not just as an accomplishment, but oh, I never would have even thought about that. Great brainstorming. How'd you even get that creativity? We're letting them know, oh, it's okay to be different. It's okay to think different. One person says, oh, well, I don't think as is the same way as everybody else. My mind's always going. I'm always distracted. And thinking that's a bad thing because it's not the same way as their peers. But then when they get into a job situation or even a school project situation and everybody's brainstorming and everybody has the same 2 ideas. And then all of a sudden, you stumped? I got 8 more where that came from. And all of a sudden it's an asset. If you help people learn how to embrace themselves, then when you say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, it's like, oh, the way that I am is that way for a reason. It may not fit this particular environment, but wait, there's more. I don't know when that more is coming or what environment it is, but I will trust that it's going to be there. And if we start to recognize that, the mental health doesn't have to be a stigmatized thing. It can be, well, how can I maximize that so it won't be as much of a problem? Now, there are some things that make that challenge easier, some things that make it more difficult. Sometimes they're internal challenges, sometimes they're external challenges. Those internal challenges is recognizing that our brains are made in a certain way and we have a certain sensitivities or leanings in a certain way. Our hormones work different ways. Somebody may be easily angered with a physiological motivation. And somebody else doesn't understand. It's like, why can't you? And why can't you just? Didn't you pray enough? It's like, no, but I have an extra sensitivity to certain things just based on how my body works. And if we don't understand that and accept that, then we can have judgment of self, judgment of others, and miss it. Sometimes somebody can be easily pleased. And it'd be a physiological factor. The way my brain is functioning, I can be easy. The pleasure sensors in my brain are a lot easier to be triggered than yours. And yet I just seem like a happy person as opposed to we are different and there's a reason and a time for that. And if you embrace that, then you can be used in a time. Here am I, send me to the right person who needs to hear me. And don't send me where you don't need me. But if you don't know who you are, then how can you be sent? And that's where the challenge comes in. Some external factors. Sometimes it's a family challenge that gets in the way. Sometimes it's, like I said, a divorce scenario or abuse scenarios. And you say, well, how come you're not paying attention in school? Your grades are dipping without acknowledging the abuse scenarios that are happening in the home or the discouragement that's happening or the peers. Sometimes it's social things. It's like, oh, yeah, we've all had social issues. It's like, yes, but sometimes things morph. Younger and younger these days, body image issues, bullying situations is completely reasonable, and they spill over into other factors. It's not just pray about it. It's not, well, just this scripture. Those things are great, but are we addressing the distractions that come beforehand that make it hard for them to embrace that? And if we're aware of that, it's pretty good. What about the social justice concerns? You may be trying to shield the younger ones, or you may be trying to shield yourself, but sometimes it's harder to do that. Sometimes it's been interesting in the past few years where peer groups decide, who's going to be in what group based on certain value differences. And it's not just about who likes this music or things like that. It's about, well, how do you feel about the latest social justice issue? How would you vote? It's like none of us in this room are old enough to vote. Why are we even having that conversation? But I'm going to be kicked out of this social group if I don't have an opinion about this stuff my parents didn't even teach me about, and it impacts their view of themselves. It impacts their view of the world that they don't fully understand, and if we're not willing to talk about it, even to find a child-appropriate, filtered version where we're giving them, not trying to scare them, but helping them understand, or just simply providing a safe place for them to ask the questions. As opposed to, I would like to, but my mom said we don't talk about that here, which means I'm left alone. And I don't know how to process it because I haven't been taught to. And this is just about the stakes in the game. Those stressors make it hard. They might spill over into, why are you sassing me? Why are you talking to me like that? Why are you forcing it as opposed to why? Why, not why period, why exclamation point, but why question mark. Help me understand what this is impacting, or how this is impacting you, which adds into the COVID scenario. The whole pandemic has affected kids younger and younger, and you may have kids coming in saying, I'm having symptoms of anxiety at younger and younger ages. When really when you get behind it, it's like, I don't want to lose mama and daddy and my sister and my brother, and I have to be worried about everything I touch and everything because I'm afraid of things that I never thought I'd have to be afraid of, and my parents didn't even know to have to protect me from, but we can't talk about that mental health stuff. You see, if it's stigmatized, then we can't help them empower themselves, understand themselves, and we can reassure them, not just that God can do all things, but that their feelings are okay, that their uncertainties are okay. And if you do that, then they can hear what you have to say next. Fair? Marvelous. Now, speaking of that, one of the other things about the demystifying part is that a lot of times we misunderstand the implications of various different diagnoses. And we talk about, oh, that person's got a mental illness, or that person's crazy, or all these kind of words that I don't like because they give a certain connotation that something about us is wrong. Oftentimes, some of the challenges are impacting our interactions, and people do things either to themselves or to other people and say, I never thought they were that kind of person, the kind of person who could do that devastating thing. When in reality, we're all that kind of person. Because we all have the capacity to express different emotions, and either you manage it well or you manage it, or you don't. And if you don't have help in doing so, it's completely understandable. For example, things that I deal with on a regular basis, things like depression. Sounds bad. Major depressive disorder, clinical depression, big capital D depression, scary. Or if you consider it on a spectrum of variety of feelings, I encourage everybody to increase your emotional vocabulary, just one word at a time, just to increase your capacity, because depression could be, oversimplified, I understand, on the spectrum of the feeling we know as sad. You don't judge anybody for feeling sad. But if you view it as a spectrum, picture like a half circle, and like that little needle that kind of moves. Got like one triangle over here that's yellow, one triangle over here that's red, one triangle in the middle that's green. In the middle, this range here, sad feelings. You reasonably can feel sad, discouraged, a loss, a disappointment, reasonable feeling, no big deal. Too much sadness, depression, boom, done, no big deal. No big whoop. How could you? Too much. How much is too much? So much that it impacts your functioning. So not too long as in this more longer than I would feel that way. I'm done feeling sad. You're too late now. No. So sad for so long that now I can't eat. Now I can't go to work. Now it's impacting my relationships. Now that's all we're doing. Whenever I have diagnosis, that's all it is. It's symptoms that are impairing your function. And so that brings everybody into the fold, which means anybody could go further than is beneficial for you. How far is you? Don't care. As long as you know your threshold, it doesn't have to be my threshold. But it don't take all of that for you. I'm glad you know you, but don't judge other people by that standard. And if you embrace yourself, you not only maintain a healthy version of yourself that God made you, but then you model for other people that it's okay for them to be different the way God made them. You see how it merges together. Just by the way, just for comparison's sake, healthy version of sad. Too much depression, and you can go into a lot of different symptoms of that, but what about too little? That's similarly unhealthy. You know how I know? I will make a confession. I am a optimist in recovery. Yeah, I used to say I was an optimist. It had this toxic positivity vibe to it, where I was so happy. I used faith words. How you doing? Blessed and highly favored. God can do all things. That's great. And yet, that's all good. Let the spiritual gifts of faith go all there. Except when someone needs some empathy. And all I have is language of but God. Oh, I'm a fan of but God. Oh, yes, but God, yes. But first, before I let you help me, you need to first know that you understand me. Sink that in. Sometimes somebody is so much in darkness that even if they conceptually can picture the validity of what you're saying, I need you to show me that you understand why I'm there in the first place before I can even let you help me. So I had to learn how to expand my capacity, not so I could stay there too long and impact my function, but so I can show that I understand, which means I had to understand my own feelings even more than I did before. I had to let myself feel certain things that I realized I was doing it out of fear. Like I didn't want to do. That's not what I'm supposed to do. When I can embrace that, then I can be sad when it's the time to be sad. And then I can understand feelings beyond that. Ecclesiastes 3:4 comes up. There's a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance. I didn't have the other half. I had a time to laugh. I had a time to smile. I didn't have a time to grieve. And I need to expand my capacity because that way I can be more used by God. To be able to come in and say, I can help you. Great. I need somebody who can come and speak a word. Got it. I need somebody who can come and encourage. Got it. I need somebody who can come and sit quietly with them and cry. See what had happened was, and I want you to be able to expand your capacity. Not to look like me, but to look like you. To be ready when someone around you might be in need, because that is encouraging. That's planting seeds for that mental health growth. One more, because in case we spend too much time on that. What about that? That's the sad to depressed. What about anxiety? No, the top two, all the way over here. Anxiety is on the same spectrum as, say, fear. Reasonable to be afraid. What? This is about faith, not about fear. You go to a zoo, and all of a sudden the tiger breaks out of a cage and starts running towards you. You better feel some fear. Our bodies, talk about our bodies and our minds and our hormones, our bodies, scientists will tell you, our bodies are designed to instinctively make your body turn around and run away before your mind even catches up to why you're running. Because there's a reasonable amount of fear if there's a legitimate threat. Too much fear beyond the existence of the threat becomes anxiety. When the threat is over and you're still reacting, we just put a name to it. That doesn't mean, oh, you're one of those people. You just don't trust enough. Or there's some extra factors that have gone into where you don't know what other factors I've had. All you saw was the tiger. You don't know the many factors that came beforehand. That was just the tip of the iceberg. That was the last straw, but I didn't know how to say that. And you didn't know how to ask. And we didn't even take the time to say, help me understand before I can even try to help you. Too much fear. Not enough fear, same logic. Well, that goes by really quick. Tiger comes, you don't run, story's over. There's a time to be healthily afraid, because like I said, our bodies are designed to protect ourselves. And when I'm on a walk with my daughters, and I'm aware, my head's on a swivel, and I'm trying to see any potential threats. If it's too much so that I can't enjoy the walk because I'm worried about things, then we're on one side. But if I'm healthily saying, while we're here, we're good. But if you stepped in my family, you're going to see a different side of me. The optimist in recovery, you're not going to see that part. It's going to be different because that's within the range of motions that I need to have. And I encourage you, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I encourage you to not have this stigmatized view of, oh, that's just too much. It's anybody. Like I said, these tragedies happen. Somebody, a loss of life, of self-harm, or somebody takes somebody else's life. I never knew they were that kind of person. They seem so normal. Because even after that, a lot of times people are on edge looking around these situations that happen in schools these days, where after it happens, then everybody's looking around at each other to say, are you the next one that's going to do it? What signs do I look for? It could be anybody that is not managing themselves well. There's no one type of person. We all can benefit from growth. We all can benefit from learning to maximize that which God has given us. Not just our bodies. Our bodies are a temple, but it's not just a shell. It's everything in it too, which includes our minds and our emotions that we can then use and be assets to be used for God's service. Follow? March, okay. So practical speaking, the benefits of considering this, they benefit our relationships with others. This is pretty clear. If you are managing your physical, your mental health along with your physical health and everything else, then that can change your impact on your friendship relationships. So do you want to be the friend who, oh, here they come, always angered by something? What's the problem this time? You can manage yourself. So you can be, oh, well, that's just who I am. Or that's all you know how to be. But if you take the time to understand, that doesn't mean you have to be like somebody else, but you can make sure you are the best version of yourself. You can save a relationship from being broken before it even gets a threat. You can save a job from getting fired because you went off on the boss because you didn't know how to manage your emotions. You can save a relationship from getting broken apart by you're not meeting my needs when you haven't quite taken the time to figure out which needs you can meet by yourself. And which needs are relational, which needs only God can meet, which needs are family needs, what is a reasonable need versus what's just something you are struggling with, you were desperately hoping that this person would solve all your problems. That's not even a healthy need. But if you take the time, starting early on, we can plant seeds that can help all those relationships. Spilling over not just that, but relationships with other people, our relationship with ourselves. Our view of ourselves is impacted by this. Because if we view ourselves in the God sense, as in who God made us to be, then our lack of understanding of ourselves can impact that. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Really though? I can't even pass social studies. See, these other things that get in the way of our understanding of God can influence us in a healthy way or an unhealthy way. And if we help do that, then you are planting seeds. I'll talk about tutors and things like that. You are strengthening their confidence, which can help them appreciate who God made them to be, which is going to help them. You see how it just keeps on rolling over. You're helping their relationships. You're helping their relationships with other people, with themselves, and their relationships with God in general. Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not into your own understandings. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Let me do that again. Let me do it. Trust in the Lord, want. Because that's how some of the people who I help, they got stuck on the word trust. No, not the biblical. It's not a judgment toward God. It's not a misunderstanding about focusing our thoughts. It's you asking me to do something I swore I would never do after I was hurt by my parents and when they divorced and then my mother cheated on my father and then this. And you asked me, after I got abused, you asked me to trust. I got stopped there. You got to have a different message because nobody helped me process that hurt, that trust, that disappointment, that fear. Sometimes just sitting and being with somebody can help plant a seed for them to hear the message on Sunday. That can help them read in a different way. It don't sound deep, but the impact is huge. You can help them with their relationships with everybody else, with themselves, and with God, regardless of what your role is. With me so far? Yes, sir. Marvelous. One scenario that comes into mind is that, as far as putting this into practice, is Job. I'm a fan of the Job story for a weird reason. You know how I say, you probably used the analogy before where you read the comic books and no matter how bad things look for Batman and Superman, you skip to the end and it's going to be all right. So we use that with God. We know it's going to be all right. But sometimes I feel like we skip to the end too quickly. Yeah. That's great. Skip to the end. You get your hope. I'm all about positivity, faith. That's great. But sometimes we don't take the time to sit with Job in the darkness. There's light at the end of the tunnel. No. There was no matter how far, there was no light. It just looked bad. It's like the tunnel's over. It's a cave. It's caved in. You're done. Sometimes people need you to sit with them. That's right. Without but it's going to be okay. Before that point, that point is there. I'm so there. But sometimes they need you to sit with them and let them know it's okay to be there. It's okay to have had feelings. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to not have the answers yet. And then they can then move out of that. And you may be the person to help with that. Job's family, Job's friends get a little bad rap in there too. I think a lot of people get a bad rap in the Bible because how we look at it. It's like his friends came in and let's see. Job 2, 11 to 12. When the three of Job's friends heard of the tragedy they had suffered, they got together, they heard, and they traveled from their homes to comfort and console him. Good start. When they saw Job from a distance, they saw something wrong. They scarcely recognized him. Wailing aloud, they tore their robes. They threw dust into the air over their heads to show their grief. They heard, they cared, they came, and they did the thing. We did the thing. We did the grieving thing. We did the dust and the robes. We did the thing. What went wrong? They did great until they opened their mouth. Yeah, they did great. We were there. We did the thing. And then they were like, time's up. No, we did the thing. Now you're fine, right? You know how I know? Because skip ahead a little bit in Job 4:6, it says, doesn't your reverence for God give you confidence? Doesn't your life of integrity give you hope? Yeah, we did the grieving thing. Now we're back to faith, right? Now we're back to God, right? Like, no, but I'm still kind of wrestling with that. Why? Too long. Snap out of it. Just pray about it. I'm a fan. 4 words. Just pray about it. I'm a fan of 3 of those words. Go ahead. Fix it. Pray about it. It's the just that gets me. Sometimes we just the people we care about. Just implies it's easy. Just implies that it's going to go too fast or should go faster. Just implies snap out of it or else you're not really caring. You're not really trying. I beg of you, stop justing the people you care about. Sit with them, embrace that, and help them understand what is it that's getting in the way of your confidence right now, especially because I know you know. So that's not it. What is getting in the way? What are you wrestling with? You're wrestling on the inside with something. Share it, process it. Sometimes, based on different learning styles, just sharing it is a step. Having somebody else validate that it's okay is a step. You never know what you may need, but we can't just judge people. They did really good until they open their mouth. I challenge you. Sometimes, if you're not sure, just don't open your mouth. If you're not sure, step 1, be there. Sit with them. They came. They saw sometimes people sitting off to the side. Come. Sit. How you doing? That is sometimes more powerful than anything else. And then, how are you doing? What's going on? Ask more than you share. I got the answer for you. I'm not ready. Even if I want it, I'm not ready for your answer yet. I'm not ready for your recommendation. I need the validation because sometimes, no matter how good of an idea you have, that's not going to work for me because I'm so bad That answer doesn't apply to me. That's for people who can get there quicker. And I need you to help me feel that way and learn from the lessons that we had. Which gets to me trying to make practical the steps to move past that. And I have a perspective for part youth and part the adults in the caring environments around them. One, as far as the youth listening in or watching in, accept who you are, the way you are. It's easier said than done. You have a lot of examples of environments helping you not do that. But I challenge you to do that. Psalm 139:14. I said it before. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. I had a plaque, a little wood plaque in my bedroom door. Maybe you've heard of a similar kind of thing as a kid. It was a wood plaque, a little engraved. It had a little kid pray with little praying hands on it, and underneath it said, "I know I'm special, because God don't make no junk." It's cheesy. It's cute, and yet I remember it to this day, 40 plus years later, because no matter how bad things got, no matter how sad things got, whether I was with friends or not with friends, understood or didn't understand, I can say, it feels bad, it's uncomfortable, but if God don't make no junk, then there must be something that's gonna get better about this. You may be the plaque in somebody's life. You may be the one who can speak a word, but individually, we need to learn how to accept ourselves. However God made you is good enough. You can maximize that. You can strengthen that. You can figure out yourself a little bit more. But you are who you are, the way you are for a reason. But I'm not like everybody else. Exactly. But I don't do things the way everybody else does. My point. Exactly. Maximize how, learn why, and then you can be unique. Learn yourself. Like I said, Ecclesiastes 3:4-6 talk about there's a time to weep and a time to laugh. But Ephesians 4:26 says, be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down in anger. But I get angry when other people say I shouldn't be getting angry. Well, you learn how to express yourself. Angry is just another feeling. Google a feelings wheel and see how many feelings you can identify personally. Probably won't be all of them. It's okay to be angry at the right time, not too long, expressed in the healthiest way. Don't feel afraid or shame because of the feelings. Learn yourself. Accept yourself and then cultivate that. So you can say, can I be angry at the right times? Like I said, I'm trying to be a nice person. I'm trying to be turn the other cheek. But if you put your hand to my family, you're going to see a different side of me. And then after I knock you out, I'm going to help calm. I'm going to help pick you up and say, are we done with this now? I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but it's 100% true. I'm right there. Because I need to learn my feelings to say when is the right time and when not to. And if you can learn when to be happy, when to be sad, when to be anxious, when to be worried about things, it's like, yeah, not too much. And if I know, I'm getting past that red bar, how can I get back over here? Who can I talk to help me get that way? So learn yourself, manage yourself. Colossians 3:2, set your minds on things above, not on things on earth. Set your mind. When are we learning to set our mind? No, we just go where our mind goes. That's just the way I think. Or you can learn to manage your mind. Learn how to focus on what you want to focus on. Talk about meditate on the word. When have I even learned to do that? No, meditation is bad. It sounds weird. No, focus your mind. And if we get practice doing that earlier, then when we need it, it can be a benefit later. And then ask for help. Sometimes you can't do everything by yourself. I view this similar to the physical health scenario before. So we manage our physical health. We can manage our mental health. Sometimes with physical health, you can get by with some push-ups at home, maybe a few crunches. Maybe you have a little exercise video you do every once in a while, and that's enough. More power to you. Maybe somebody else says, that's not enough for me. I need to go to the gym. I need to use different equipment. I'm learning to manage myself. I'm learning to get the assistance that I need. Somebody else says, okay, that's good too, but I need the workout class. It's something about the interactions with the other people that helps me motivate. And then other people say, you know what, that's good, but I need the personal trainer. Not just because that's the person who can say 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, but that person can see what I'm doing. And because of their skills and expertise, they can say, I see what you're doing, but based on the body type you need to work with and what you're trying to accomplish, you can benefit from this exercise and that machine. You need somebody with some extra experience. Same way with our mental health. Sometimes you can do what you do on your own. A conversation at home with your family, great. Maybe read listen to a podcast and listen to a few things, a self-help book, inspiration, and that's enough, great. Other times, though, you may need some extra encouragement. You need to come together. Never forget the coming together of believers. That's not about church attendance. That's about there's something you get from coming together that enhances what you can do on your own, that can give you the encouragement, the self-esteem, the validation. That's not about your ego, but helping you feel your worth, that you know, but you can't feel until it's validated by other people. So you go a little bit further. And sometimes you may need that extra step, or maybe even a mental health professional. Because you're that kind of person. Yes, I'm that kind of person who recognizes the benefit of other people who know some things that I can learn. Yeah. They're not there because I'm that bad. They're there because I'm trying to be as good as God has potentially made me to be. They can help me see what I'm already trying. Good job. I see what you did there. But based on what you're trying to accomplish, you may benefit from these skills and these strategies. And it's not about a diagnosis. It's not about all these different things. It's about you learning to cultivate the body that God has given you, so that you can be used in the way that he wants you to. Similarly, that's for the folks individually, but what about the people who are trying to help? Maybe that's not necessarily you, or it is you and you are trying to help other people. Same logic. Listen, James 1:19-20. Know this, my beloved brothers. Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Just remember Job? Yeah, be slow to speak. Listen. Yeah. I had to learn how to be silent. I can be silent. I can stay silent forever. But when you get that moment of, ooh, but I know what you need, that's when it gets hard. And that's when we have to learn when to share the nugget that you have. A good word at the wrong time is not a good word no more. A good word at the wrong time. But they needed to hear this, yes, but you didn't take the time to listen first. You didn't take the time to validate first. You didn't take the time to understand them first and help them feel understood, which means seed in the thorns. Seed on the rocky ground. Don't waste your seed. Take the time to listen. Take the time to empathize. Not just it's going to be okay, but I can understand what you're going through. You're not alone. Whether you self-disclose a whole bunch of confidential stuff is up to you, but you're not the first person who's gone through this. Sometimes it's hard for people to hear things because I'm so messed up. Nobody has ever gone through what I've gone through. It's like, actually, we didn't talk about this before. How you do it is tactfully up to you, especially parents sharing things with your kids. You have to find the kid version or youth version, so talk about that transition, but helping people understand they're not alone in their feelings. Empathizing can pave the way for them to then build upon it. And then advocate. Speak up. If somebody's issue is they want to do something, but they don't have the initiative to get over it, there's too much fear blocking them. Sometimes you paving the way. Hey, I got somebody who needs to say something. Everybody shut up. Somebody has something they want to say. Then you can pave the way and make it a little bit easier for them. And then sometimes you may help them find that resource. Find a referral. Maybe it's to a support group. Maybe it's to a therapist. Maybe it's to it's a crisis line. But I don't know if you're aware the recent what used to be the suicide prevention line is now just a general help line, a 988. And so you can say, hey, even if you're not willing to talk to anybody, call somebody who you don't know, who doesn't have a stake in the game. Sometimes the benefit of me being a therapist is not, yes, I know everything. I do not. I'm amazed at the inspiration God gives me at certain times because I don't know that much. But I have what I need to have at the time they need it, and that's great. But sometimes the parents aren't the first ones that can know because the kids are worried because they have a stake in the game. I'm worried about what they'll say because it impacts them. Sometimes the benefit of a therapist is, I'm not you. I'm not in your house. I don't have a vested interest in it, so I can be that neutral person so you can bounce things off of. I want to say this, but I got about 4 different ways, and I don't know which one is going to mess things up even more. Can you help walk me through that? Sometimes that's all that is needed. So maybe you can be the one to be the resource or the one to escort them to the resource or to help them find that resource, but help be the safe place where they can even try because you're embracing your health, acknowledging it's okay. Oh, yes, I can help you with that problem you have because I didn't realize you were one of those problem people until you just revealed that. No. You help me see that you're normal because everything is normal. I even hate the word normal, but when you realize that everybody's normal. Because everybody is struggling with different things. It just deletes the usefulness of that word anymore. Everybody struggles. Everybody is wondering about how their mind works, thinking too much, thinking too little, feeling too much, feeling too little. So this on mental health spectrum is about managing yourself. And if you take the time to do that, then you can be used in more ways. You can be a good steward of the body that God has given you, not just the shell, but the feelings. You can be used by God to do more things, have an impact in ways that are beyond your imagination. And one of the things that, like I said, I've been blessed to be able to help other people. I started as a marriage and family therapist before I was married. It's really weird. And I had to have that conversation. I started having my first client at 20. No, 21. And I have somebody who comes in as a couple, premarital couple, 80 and 82. First marriage for one, widowed for the other. Cutest couple in the world. Not patronizingly cute, cutest couple in the world. And they walked in, and they looked at me like, we're literally old enough to be your grandparents. Are you married? No. Do you have kids? No. Then what you got to say? Reasonable question. That wasn't even a challenge. They didn't even say it negatively. And the answer was like, well, one, I have a master's degree trained to teach a few things. But second, I'm not in your relationship. I have an outside perspective that can help you see things about yourself that then you can go and live your life on your own. It's not about me. It's about you. And for years, ever since then, I don't know what those things are going to be until God reveals them to help me to see things that they need to see so they can go on and be empowered. Mental health isn't about having somebody else manage your life, a pill, a diagnosis, a program that's going to keep you. No, it's to help you, to empower you to live your best life. And then they can sit back and say, yeah, now you have a few extra tools. Go do it. Embrace mental health as a reasonable part of our overall life being. With yourself as an adult, as a youth, as a child. The earlier you get started, just with awareness as a reasonable progression, but at an appropriate level, make it safe for it to be talked about and be pleasantly surprised by what you see. Amen?